Welcome to the KD Report. I'm Kimberly Dvorak. Is net neutrality under attack? It's a principle that's faced many threats over the years. Lately, there have been many big internet providers trying to tamper with certain kinds of traffic, slowing down speed, or outright blocking content they do not like. But under the FCC, it means all consumers have access to lawful content of their choice, and making sure there aren't any gatekeepers deciding the internet content. The FCC chairman said,
Well, I favor a free and open internet, as I think most consumers do. My concern is with the particular regulations that the FCC adopted 2 years ago. They are what is called Title II regulations, developed in the 1930s to regulate the Ma Bell telephone monopoly. And my concern is that by imposing those heavy-handed economic regulations on internet service providers, big and small, we could end up disincentivizing companies from wanting to build out internet access to a lot of parts of the country. For example, there's a study by a highly respected economist that says that among the top 12 internet service providers in terms of size, investment is down by 5.6%, or several $1 billion over the last 2 years. And among smaller providers as well, just earlier this week, 22 internet service providers with 1,000 customers or less told us that these Title II regulations have kept them from getting the financing that they need to build out their networks. And as they put it, these net neutrality regulations hang like a black cloud over our businesses.
but is the U.S. government playing favorites?
I would say as a government regulator that we don't put faith in any single particular sector of the economy or particular company. We put our faith in the rule of law. And the rule of law, which includes antitrust law and consumer protection law, is faithfully administered by the federal government agencies and state agencies.
However, based on several media reports from the FCC chairman's off-the-record meeting with broadband industry representatives, it's possible that the FCC intends to surrender the agency's legal authority over cable and telephone companies in exchange for unenforceable commitments. Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak explained.
I, twice in my life, flew to Washington, D.C. to be at a meeting where an important decision was coming down. And it was 2 rulings on net neutrality. And I was present in the audience. And that probably says enough about my own feelings. I'm also one of the founders of the EFF. And I always favor those who don't have money, the people who are attending our Comic-Con. I favor them over the people who have money and power and wealth, like big companies, be it Google, be it even Apple. I always favor the small one, and net neutrality kind of ensures the big guys will have a route in. Look who our president's going to look to for advice. And the advice he's going to get is, let us rule the internet, and let us have lower taxes. And that just fights against the little guy.
U.S. Senator Mike Lee wrote an op-ed saying Americans want to watch, listen, and play any video whenever they want, wherever they want, and for as long as they want. And they don't want to pay a fortune for the privilege to do so. Comedian John Oliver aptly put it this way.
If we let cable companies offer 2 speeds of service, they won't be Usain Bolt and Usain Bolt on a motorbike. They'll be Usain Bolt and Usain bolted to an anchor.
The liberal British comedian also pointed out,
the Federal Communications Commission has agreed to move forward on a proposal that could change the way we use the internet. At risk, the basic principle of net neutrality.
Net neutrality.
Net neutrality.
Yes, net neutrality. The only 2 words that promise more boredom in the English language, hugely important. Essentially, it means that all data has to be treated equally, no matter who creates it. It's why the internet is a weirdly level playing field. And startups can supplant established brands. That's how Facebook supplanted MySpace, which supplanted Friendster, which supplanted actually having any friends. Do you remember physically having friends? It was awful. You couldn't tap people's faces to make them go away. The point is, the internet in its current form is not broken, and the FCC is currently taking steps to fix that.
The FCC is endorsing new rules that could clear the way for a 2-tier system.
The rules would open the door for the first time for internet providers like Comcast and Verizon to charge tech companies to send content to consumers more quickly. Netflix, for example, might pay a premium to ensure that its customers can stream movies more reliably at a cost a startup competitor might not be able to afford.
When you say fast lane and slow lane, it's a good illustration, but what you really should be talking about is a fast lane for everybody and a hyperspeed lane for others.
But such an approach is not only unworkable as a practical and legal matter, but would also be devastating for internet freedom, economic opportunity, and innovation. We wouldn't put the fox in the henhouse, or would we?
Comcast has spent $18,810,000 in lobbying last year. That's more than any other company except for defense contractor Northrop Grumman.
The president has picked Tom Wheeler, a former top lobbyist for cable and wireless companies, to be the next chair of the Federal Communications Commission.
Yes, the guy who used to run the cable industry's lobbying arm is now running the agency tasked with regulating it. That is the equivalent of needing a babysitter and hiring a dingo.
Last week, Congress passed a bill allowing internet providers to gather personal information of its customers and sell it to interested third parties. Simply put, the cable companies can sell your info to make more money. One final point.
For our internet service than almost anybody else on Earth. And yet, the download speeds we get lag behind Estonia.
Thanks for joining me today. For more information on this story and others, please visit thekdreport.com. And remember, news is more than a soundbite.